Most beautiful, inventive and inspirational new homes in the country go head-to-head in a competition organised by the Royal Institute of British Architects to find the best house in Britain. Now, we're about halfway through our nationwide tour of the finest new homes for 2017 and about to explore a handful more, any of which could win.
So far on our tour of the long list, we've seen homegrown local houses,
Beautiful tiles made down the road.
and some magical waterside wonders,
Wow, this is very exciting. Bit of theatre.
Absolutely.
which, like all this year's remarkable buildings, fire the imagination.
And I can simply waft to the bed in my nightdress.
All of which are delightful, inventive, and distinctive in their own way.
Oh, I'm in a spaceship.
This time, we're looking at 4 more buildings, all rural.
You've got a great big, lumpy, bumpy wall.
That's where the cows eroded the wall over time.
Very beautiful views, which the building just grabs.
At the end of the programme, we'll find out which of these fine homes have been shortlisted by the judges.
Everybody's just been bowled over by these unexpected qualities.
Then, in the final episode, we'll discover who has won one of the most celebrated prizes for residential architecture, the 2017 House of the Year.
It's always exciting and a privilege to be invited into a secret world, isn't it? To be able to snoop around other people's homes and to see inside some of Britain's most extraordinary houses. So for the next hour, just imagine what it would be like to live in some of these places.
So far in this series, 4 great pieces of architecture have made it onto the shortlist. Shoreham House in Northumberland, Caring Wood in Kent, Ness Point near Dover, and 6 Wood Lane in North London. In this episode, we're looking at homes set in our most precious of assets, our rural landscape. Joining me are Elle Decorations Editor-at-Large, Michelle Gunderhin.
Amazing.
And architect Damien Burrows.
Oh, wow. You do not expect this when you see the house from the outside.
Rural homes have long been associated with farms, barns, and traditional cottages. But that's all changing now.
Enter the modernist rural home. Enter a new word, completely alien and unknown in the muddy countryside, glamour.
On Dorset's Isle of Purbeck, nestled in the hills, is our first house on the long list.
You know, if you move to the seaside to live, maybe to retire, you'll have the choice of living in a bungalow or a bungalow. That's it. And this is a bungalow.
The Quest is a sleek, gravity-defying bungalow, a statement in concrete, wood and glass, in the modernist tradition that takes the idea of single-storey living to a new, exciting level.
What a way to arrive.
It's the result of a 20-year search for the ideal plot by its owners, film producer Charles Denton and his wife Penny.
Primarily, I wanted, and I think Penny too, wanted a site which would give us a peaceful setting and somewhere where we could build a house that could complement the extraordinary countryside we're sitting in. We wanted to build something special.
Well, they've certainly got that. A glorious 205 square metre house, daringly cantilevered over a delicate stone wall.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Nice to see you.
Charles, is that right?
Yes,
Penny, yeah?
I'm Penny.
Pleased to meet you. What an amazing arrival. The sweep in. And I do like your fantastic cantilever.
Isn't it good?
And when you get away from it, you can look at it from a distance. It really, really sits well.
Oh, come on then, let's have a...
Yes, have a look.
You've whetted my appetite now. Thank you. You go first.
That floating cantilever contains an entrance hall with a master bedroom suite at the front. Then there's an enormous kitchen and living area that take up the middle section. And the final third contains 2 studies plus guest bedrooms and bathrooms. This place has huge windows connecting the building to the valley to the south.
Gosh. Very beautiful views, which the building just grabs.
It's beautiful.
It is quite arresting, isn't it? It sort of does grab you.
I think that is one of the absolute main things that we wanted. You know, in our brief we said we wanted light.
The judges admired the pared-back simplicity of this 8-metre wide living area. That's very wide. Charles and Penny have 1 room for living in here, but if that gets too much, they can each escape to separate studies.
We insisted as part of the brief that we wanted to have a study each which couldn't communicate with each other, so we're sealed into 2 studies.
You have a lock on the door?
No, but we might think about that.
I'll lock him in.
I mean, he's sounding like a 14-year-old teenager to me, you know.
Yes.
Kind of
I must have my room.
Yes.
Frankly, there's enough space here for everyone.
Snug.
And at every turn, something to delight. There are beautiful bedrooms spiraled away off the main living area. Meanwhile, the kitchen holds some hidden surprises.
So if you'd like to open the door and have a look.
There's another door.
There's another door.
It's a larder.
It's a larder.
It's brilliant. Bit of produce, wine, good to keep it at a cool temperature. Brilliant thing to have.
It's so perfect because everybody's tricked. Nobody knows. I love it.
The quest couldn't be more different to the house that was previously on the site. An old bungalow, which Charles and Penny knocked down to build their new £750,000 house. Only then to discover a disused quarry underneath.
The builders drove a large, heavily laden dumper truck in there, and it suddenly opened up as a hole. But the hole is easily got rid of by a couple of truckloads of foamed concrete pumped into it.
And there was a little extra cost, of course.
There might well be.
Concrete's not just in the ground, it's on display throughout the building.
Judging from the enormous slab visible at the outside and the enormous lid, I imagine that this is not a timber frame building. This is built out of concrete.
And also staying on those columns, those are the magic columns.
Are they steel?
Those are very refined, sophisticated concrete with stainless steel inner.
Remarkable.
The impossibly thin columns of concrete are reinforced with steel fibres, an idea championed by the architect Magnus Strom, who's also responsible for that cantilever.
So this cantilever, this great lump of concrete here, how does this work?
So the idea is that if you want to create a cantilever like this and we just have a single plane like this, it's not going to be very strong. So if you jumped on this, you'd probably break it.
Yeah. So how have you done this?
What we did was that we had a couple of internal walls.
Also in concrete?
Yes, in concrete. So they then also connect to the roof slab. So when those two connect together, that becomes a space beam, and that suddenly becomes very stiff.
Suddenly becomes a box.
So the beam becomes that.
A giant concrete I-beam
Yeah.
with a chunk cut out the middle.
Exactly.
Can I let go of this? I can. See, look, there it is. It's doing its job.
Yeah.
A massive vat of yet more concrete was poured on site and buried underground beneath the guest bedrooms to balance the cantilever, keeping the whole thing wondrously suspended.
Now, I love this very elegant, simple idea. The ability of several hundred tons of heavy concrete to apparently defy the laws of physics. I mean, we're standing underneath a 6-metre cantilever unsupported. There's something kind of sort of superhuman about it, you know?
I'm not sure it's superhuman, but I think that one of the strengths of the building is, of course, that it's got a very big, strong, bold idea, yet it's very, very simple. And I think it's that simplicity that is captivating.
This building is one delicious concrete sandwich garnished with a spread of polished local Purbeck stone.
It's got patterns and, you know, it's alive, isn't it, with different textures and so on.
Yeah.
And you find outcrops of stone all over the place here. And to have it here now, it just feels right for the whole location.
The stone was sourced locally from Trev Haysom, a 10th generation quarryman.
Purbeck stone's quarried in the southeastern corner of Dorset, the so-called Isle of Purbeck.
Sediment, fresh water, fossils and shells compacted over millions of years make this strong, versatile limestone. It takes a polish, so it's been used for everything from early paving stones to decorative carving.
I suppose the high point was Henry III using it lavishly in Westminster Abbey. Purbeck stones became highly prestigious.
The stone was hand-selected in the quarry, then cut to size and polished for Charles and Penny's home.
This is as the fireplace slabs in the Quest, except they were textured to a different finish. Same rock.
This house proudly showcases what it's made of, stone and concrete, demonstrating an honesty that impressed the judges and attracted some local attention.
I've been watching this house being developed since the day they broke ground, and I think it is absolutely exceptional. I just love how it implements itself into nature. The timber and the construction, there's such sensitivity to the trees and to the nature around it, and it's just totally glorious.
One of the reasons we chose Magnus was the style of houses that he builds. He builds houses which are flooded with light. This house is the lightest, most life-affirming building I've ever lived in.
There is a wonderful honesty about this building. What you see is what you get. It is made of what is visible. But don't mistake that honesty for simplicity, because bound up in this very well, clearly laid out house, there are all kinds of magical ideas. Ideas of rejuvenation, regeneration, the idea of connection to place through the materials that come from this earth that's almost subliminal.
We've seen one jewel of a rural home. Next up on the long list, a magical treehouse.
It really is like a childhood fantasy come to life.
And we find out what it's like to live in a winning home.
Everybody has his own life, but we share many things, and this is wonderful.
Very often, what you build is restricted, governed by its context, by where it is. And so one pointy roof in Surbiton leads to another. However, take away the built context, throw off the shackles of neighbours, and you are free to draw rich inspiration from elsewhere, from landscape, trees, squirrels and badgers.
In Dorset, a private woodland has inspired our second building on the long list. Michelle went to explore the fantastical creation designed to bring out the playful in all of us.
Wow, it really is like a childhood fantasy come to life.
The enchanting Woodsman's treehouse is owned and was built by Guy Mallinson.
Wood is such a fantastic material, and I spent my entire life working with wood in one form or another. And so, yeah, the treehouse is really a celebration of what wood can do.
This is the embodiment of Guy's passion for wood. A 35 square metre treehouse made from Douglas fir, cedar, larch and oak on stilts of sweet chestnut.
Amazing.
Magically accessed across a rope bridge to a submarine airlock door.
How fabulous is this?
You're welcome.
Hello. I love the submarine door. The drama starts, and I even got a red carpet as well.
Well, this is quite compressed, this space. So you come in through the compression chamber and then into the main space thereafter.
Once through the decompression chamber lobby, with a toilet tucked in behind it, the building opens out into a cylindrical living area, flanked by a bedroom and bathroom. There's a wraparound balcony containing a spiral staircase leading to a rooftop sauna and jacuzzi.
This is so much more luxurious than I imagined it would be. There is a real sense of escapism. It all feels quite unexpected.
Yes, and I think that particularly that entrance is very small and it's all quite like this, so you're meant to get that wow factor when you open up into this space.
I mean, this is high spec. I mean, look at that bath.
The building is packed with fun. I can't get over that rooftop spa with an outdoor hot tub and sauna. Below it, there's a deck with a pizza oven and a wondrous slide to the forest floor. This place is studded with distractions, like a glamorous woodland funfair.
It looks like a sort of theatrical set, where you expect someone to walk in and start doing a play.
Yeah.
It has a very sort of theatrical feel to it. And so there's lots of sort of tricks on the eye. For example, we've sloped the walls in to exaggerate the perspective.
Then you've got all these wonderful little architectural sort of cutouts that give you like glimpses of the environment around you.
Yes, I think there are surprises. I think that's the sort of little surprises everywhere. In the floor here, we've got a window, and it was just a frame. We looked down and said, that is such a fantastic view.
Yeah.
We've got to keep it. It's an extraordinary feeling standing here looking at the stream below.
Well, it's kind of fun because it's so unexpected, but it's also exactly right because it is so brilliant to be able to look and see what's going on beneath here.
The RIBA judges enjoyed the way this building frames views of its woodland setting, the most spectacular of which is of the adjacent ancient oak tree.
But, I mean, that's it to me. The tree is everything. To be this high up the tree and to be able to look at the mosses and the ferns so closely, it's just so massive and beautiful.
The treehouse is built around the tree, but is completely separate from it. An ingenious design by the architect Keith Brownlee.
Tree houses generally kill trees, so it's built in respect of the trees, to look at the trees rather than to stress the trees.
I mean, what were the architectural challenges for you then?
Well, trees have roots, which is not very convenient, so it means that you have to put your foundations where they can go, not where you want them to be.
To avoid the tree roots, Keith designed a crisscross web of supports driven into the ground at angles. Heavy machinery couldn't get to the remote boggy site, so the whole of this enchanting building had to be delivered and made by hand, including its apparently chunky wooden walls.
You'll notice that all the walls appear to be very thick, and they appear to be solidly made from the same thing on the inside as the outside, but that's all clay.
The wall of logs is in fact a clever illusion. They're just cladding, short timbers stacked up against an insulated fire and waterproof structure behind them. The job of constructing this deceit fell to Guy's woodcraft friends and family.
Me and my little brothers and some friends were in charge of the logs on the front of the tree house. It was like 4 weeks' work. I think we ended about 10,000 logs. It was proper green wood work we were doing, so jaw knifing and making all these logs and then fitting them together. So, yeah, it's a lot of work. Our hands were like one huge callus at the end of it. It was pretty brutal. Seeing it done was just worth it all, because I think they look really amazing in the end, I think.
In a few years' time, it will be silver grey with greenery growing on it. I mean, the log wall is designed to have mosses and ferns, and it will become even more part of the wood as it hopefully improves with age.
Built with passion and designed to last, it's perhaps not surprising that the treehouse came with a hefty price tag.
It is quite over the top.
Can I ask how much it cost?
Yes, the cost of the treehouse was $150,000.
Right.
It's a huge amount of money.
Yes.
But, we set out to make it special. And it is in the middle of a wood, so just by default, building in the middle of a bog is a very expensive project.
This Woodsman's treehouse is a real celebration of contemporary design meets traditional craftsmanship. It has elements of richness, escapism, even fantasy. In short, it's quite magical, which is not a word you often use in architecture.
The buildings in this series are hoping to win the coveted prize that is the RIBA House of the Year. And to find out what makes a winning contemporary design, let's take a look at the enigmatic Maison L in France.
In years gone by, European architects could enter the House of the Year award. On the outskirts of busy urban Paris is this. Maison L, winner in 2012. 5 towers joined together to form one home. They're all a modern addition to an existing 18th century building, owned by PR consultant Isabel Tierman and her financier husband, Yves.
We decided to extend the house in order to have a big family space with independence and also common life. We have 4 sons, so 4 towers for the sons and 1 for the couple.
If you want to keep them until 80 years old, they have to have their own space. And they can come with a girlfriend, and after maybe with a wife, and maybe after maybe with a wife and kids.
We want the sons to be with us the longest.
The 5 flat-roofed towers, one for each child and one for mum and dad, won the RIBA award because they creatively accommodate modern family life. To connect the individual towers, architect Christian Potgieser dug deep.
So it's sloping down there and here. So we are 1.2 meters in the soil, in the original level already here.
The subterranean area has angular pockets of living space linking the house together,
It's a geometry for contemporaneous family,
from which spring the 5 structures spiraling upwards.
On one of the parts of it, you have this, let's say, you can understand it as a bathroom, but it's part of the staircase. So it's a staircase where you take your shower.
There's no need for doors, as the tower corners provide privacy, and a light-filled bedroom takes up the top floor of each tower.
You are not really in the countryside. You are in the suburbs of Paris, but you don't see anything.
Sometimes you are working in your space, and one other is with his friends, and one other is with the grandma playing cards. So everybody has his own life, but then we share many things, and this is wonderful.
Ambition, craftsmanship, vision are just some of the things a building needs to become the house of the year. We've got 2 more beautiful rural homes to explore before we find out which of them are on the 2017 shortlist.
Next up, a home crafted from an old cattle barn.
Oh, this is majestic.
And we'll be looking at cutting-edge design in everyday houses.
It's just so unusual. I have not walked into another building that's so entirely made of wood.
Anyone who's been stuck behind a tractor on a small road in the middle of Devon knows that rural life creeps at its own slower, quieter pace, you know? It's about 7 miles an hour. Okay, so building is also a slow cook business as well. Except that in the countryside, architects are breaking new ground, literally, and challenging tradition.
Our third house on the long list is hidden deep in rural Devon, a new building with a story that dates back centuries.
So there's a farmhouse and some barns. This has to be it, doesn't it? Looks like it's been there for a while, or at least bits of it have.
This is Cobb Corner. Once a ruined linhay barn, meaning lie-in hay, it used to house cattle below with their feed and the hay above. Now it's been rejuvenated, rising like a phoenix from the ashes by architect David Shepherd and his wife Sally, a GP. It's a rural gem of a home, in absolute keeping with its place.
I used to play not far from here, and it's still the same as when I was a child of 7. It hasn't really changed much. In fact, I think it's had a great influence on me being an architect for a start.
Hello.
Hello.
You must be Sally.
Yes, welcome to our home, Gavin.
Thank you very much. Thank you. David, this is the fruit of your labours. I mean, this is remarkable. In a most fabulous setting. I mean, a really quite beautiful valley. Very, very green.
From the remnants of the 17th century cattle shed, David has inventively produced a 3-bedroomed home and a studio for his architectural practice. The barn's ground floor contains the kitchen, dining and master bedrooms, with a living room above. The tractor shed to the left is now David's studio, and the remains of an outbuilding to the right have been transformed into 2 further bedrooms with bathrooms.
So, from the vestibule, ooh! I expected this to be actually taller ceiling, more divided and somewhat less cottagey, but this is very charming.
The kitchen and dining rooms stretch the full length of the former 18-metre cattle shed. And where animals once ambled in from the fields, a glazed and shuttered wall provides views of the valley. The RIBA judges admired the way David's conjured a home fit for modern living out of the derelict barn shell, while retaining so much of what the building used to be.
You've got a great big, lumpy, bumpy wall.
That's right, yeah.
It's like a model of the moon on your kitchen wall. What is it?
That's where the cows eroded the wall over time, eating their food.
This is physical erosion of the wall by animals.
Yeah.
Rubbing against it. Remarkable.
Itching.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This old barn wall is made of cob, an ancient building material made up of earth, aggregate, water and straw, all mixed together and packed down to make walls. It's as rustic as you can get, and a traditional technique in Devon. At Cobb Corner, the 300-year-old wall is ½ a metre thick. A simple coat of new lime wash brought it back to life.
When we had the farm around for dinner, he recognised this little
The hole
hole
there.
here, which is where Snowdrop, the cow, used to lick.
Is that cow's tongue shape? That one there?
Yeah. And he said...
You've kept it?
Yeah, he couldn't believe we kept it.
Presumably there was just a nice sort of salty bit of wall here that she could just take away.
Nutrients,
I presume.
Yeah.
Wow. Brilliant that you've kept it.
They've not just kept the wall, they've placed it centre stage, lumps, bumps and all. One of the many remnants of the barn's origins all over this house. From the traditional piers made from stones originally gathered from the nearby stream, to the scissor trusses in the hayloft upstairs, now the living room.
Oh, this is majestic. Very open, very long and big. Isn't it lovely? Why is this open, this section here?
Well, it's more of a memory of when I used to bring the straw down to the feed.
OK, so they would just sweep straw towards the opening, it would drop down into a manger below.
That's correct, yeah.
Only the barn's original openings have been glazed. So the windows are all low up here.
So that explains why you can't see out any of these windows.
That's right, it's a purely functional.
It's only when you come to sit down... Oh, yeah, look, look, look. That's entirely justifiable. No, I can understand now. The building is inviting you to sit down.
David saw beauty in this crooked old barn, even with all the difficulties it presented.
When my mother saw this barn, she said, David, what on earth have you brought a ruin for? And I said, just wait and see.
Over 14 years, he has lovingly stripped back the ruined building. He excavated the cow dung to lay a new floor, rebuilt the crooked walls, and repaired the misshapen oak roof by hand. No easy task, given the higgledy-piggledy nature of the place.
So this pier doesn't quite appear to line up with that pier and the end of the building. In fact, this plate sort of cranks off at an angle. Meantime, all of these trusses hit this wall plate, but this one's just resting on it. This one is down, cut into it by about 3 inches. This one, oh, a tiny little notch here. This one here, much lower. And that's the point. You know, this building, although it's level, I mean, I'm standing on a horizontal floor, actually, the old barn sloped down the hill. It followed the contour of the place. If you build new, you can build efficiently and you can build straight. If you build old, then you have to build expensive and wonky.
Luckily for David, he had an expert carpenter on hand. His brother Terry did all the difficult woodwork in the house, like the timber stairs.
Originally, it was green oak. So in other words, it's literally a tree, a growing tree, and they are really, really heavy. So manhandling them around was quite difficult because we have them delivered up the top of the road and literally, well, threw them in, really, because they were probably 3/4 ton each, but really easy to work with when it's wet.
Every piece of this wooden puzzle is held together with axe-cut timber pegs. And Terry's craftsmanship is everywhere. Handmade wooden blinds and handcrafted doors. This building is a celebration of traditional approaches inside and out.
from my house. From upstairs, I can see it. I think it's a beautiful house, and it's okay with the environment and the area around. The kind of house you just turn and look at it. It is nice, yeah, I like it.
The timber screen over the windows hides the glazing behind a seemingly agricultural framework of wood and shadow, providing shade and a hide from which to watch wildlife. All from £250 worth of reclaimed hardwood.
So 250 quid for the timber, which sounds cheap for what it is, but how much then to put it all up?
It was £11,000, which at the time sounded like an awful lot of money, but I love it because it just takes away from the vastness of the glass.
It's true that from the road, you look up here and what you see are the slats. It looks like a barn.
And it's very beautiful for it.
It's very beautiful for it.
But all this timber over the windows, you might think, would obscure the view.
Sitting here, I can tell you, as I just cast my eye around, I can join together the dots. That my imagination fills in the little bits I can't see, and I get a complete view of the landscape. That's the imagination for you. That's this building for you.
The timber screen isn't the only connection made with the surrounding environment. It's also powered by the sun, harvests rainwater, and is coated with a flat roof of eco-friendly sedum.
I'm a country boy, there's no doubt about that, and I'm very passionate about where I live, and I think that is important when I design my buildings. It is about the landscape and how you place the building within it.
All good new buildings respond to people and to place. However, this building speaks of people and place, and also its own history. It speaks of time. Look at it, eh? What a fantastic story it tells. It's like a three-dimensional picture book.
Such a rich narrative is common across many of the houses on the long list, which are packed with invention.
Watching this programme, you'd be forgiven for thinking that many of these houses are the preserve of the few, the elite.
But let me reassure you, the ideas pioneered here benefit the rest of us. They can improve all our homes. Michelle Gunderhin went to visit a new housing estate, Carrowbreck Meadow, outside Norwich. Just under half of these homes are part-owned by the council under shared ownership, making them affordable to buy on an income of less than 35 grand, all achieved with award-winning design.
How did you develop what they'd look like?
Well, we sort of built upon a Norfolk vernacular. So we were looking at Norfolk barns and doing something based on that kind of aesthetic. So it's clean lines, simple palette of materials, which felt fitting for this kind of rural environment.
This ambitious housing estate has won 2 RIBA awards.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Each home is crafted with larch cladding and elegant proportions.
But what was it about the house that really drew you to it in the first place?
The initial fact was the way it looked. You see how nice it is, and then you walk in and you see how well it's finished, the attention to detail. There's so many things about it that were far beyond what we expected from a new build.
So it really overturned your perceptions about housing estates?
Oh, straight away, yeah.
This is considered architecture that makes the very best of where it is, carving magnificent views out to the landscape with large, well-placed windows. It offers delight and is immensely practical. The elongated roof shape isn't just for show. Inside, there are generously sized bedrooms.
Oh, wonderful. It's so nice to have all this space above your head.
This actually is the front of the house as well, which faces the sun. So another thing they've thought about is if it gets too hot during the day, you've got these special blinds that you can put down so that the sun doesn't cook your bedroom during the day.
It costs just £3 a month to heat this 2-bedroom house. It's designed to passive house standards, meaning that it's super insulated and airtight and uses minimal energy.
It's nice to live somewhere that has been well thought out, well designed, and it's actually now a privilege to live somewhere that's had that forward planning involved in it.
I'm so impressed with the level of detail here, from the metal shutters on the outside of the windows to the wooden pergola that shade them from the sun, or the black cladding that references the local barns. They've really thought about how to sit these houses into the environment.
In North London, on Barrett's Grove, is another housing scheme that's won an RIBA National Award and was up for this year's Sterling Prize for the UK's best new building. This block of flats uses the latest wood technology to build super efficiently. The structure is made entirely of cross-laminated timber.
It's just so unusual. I have not walked into another building that's so entirely made of wood. You know, the structure, the supporting structure is wooden. The brick facade is really just a weatherproofing. The fact that everything has been left completely wooden inside, it just does have that warmth to it, that personality.
By using giant timber panels bolted together, the core structure was built in just 8 days.
Certainly if you use Barrett's Grove as a model for being able to bring down construction costs and create a pleasing internal and external aesthetic to housing, it could be applicable to creating affordable housing as well as large-scale private housing.
Both Barrett's Grove and Carrowbrick Meadow show how buildings for all of us can benefit from the experimental ideas pioneered in one-off houses. We've got one more trailblazing rural house to see from this year's long list of homes.
Oh, wow. I mean, you do not expect this when you see the house from the outside.
Before we find out which of them the RIBA judges have shortlisted for House of the Year.
In this programme, we've seen 3 beautiful projects, all of which, like rare breed sheep, push at the barbed wire and baler twine boundaries of rural architecture. Just one more strong, shaggy and very different contender to go before we discover which has most caught the judge's imagination.
The final house in our rural category makes its mark in Scotland. It's the new house of Oaken Green. A farm-like group of buildings that make up one large home. Damien travels to windswept North Ayrshire to see it.
As a piece of architecture, the proportions of this building are visually so pleasing, but it's almost like it's trying to throw you off the scent that it's actually a house. It looks like it could be an agricultural shed, even something to do with aviation.
Disguised in standing seam zinc with shuttered windows, just like a barn, this contemporary home is arranged as a little group of buildings. A modern 2-storey house sits at the centre. It has an open-plan kitchen, dining and living room on the ground floor, and 2 guest bedrooms, some extra living space and a library above. The master bedroom suite sits in a separate building, connected by a glazed lobby. Then there's a pair of outbuildings at the back, containing 2 more bedrooms and some storage. It was built for 2 long-distance runners, retired GP Dr. Mike Law and his wife, Sally.
We've had a pretty outdoor life, commencing with road running in the 1980s, and neither of us have stopped since. The longest we've ever not run is probably about 10 days, and that was because we were doing a bike tour.
Their passion for the outdoors inspired this £600,000 house in its remote rural location. With a covered passageway traditionally known in Scotland as a pend leading to the entrance.
Walking up along that drive and seeing the house there in the background is really impressive.
It stands out exactly as much as it needs to. That's always been my take on it.
The cladding of the building, zinc as a material, was that something you wanted from the start?
No, because we wanted it just on the roof. But then we were showing the plans with it all over, and I thought that might be too much, but it's relieved by the shuttering.
A phrase which our architect once used was, "Your house will stand like a sculpture in the landscape." I think that's pretty true.
New house may seem heavy and agricultural, a little introspective, but inside it is light and bright and the landscape is around every corner.
Oh, wow. I mean, you do not expect this when you see the house from the outside. Everywhere you walk, there are just framed views. It's such a light, airy space to be in.
Ceilings are high, which means windows can also be high. There are skylights too, to drink as much light in from the Scottish skies. And if you have views, why would you not want to see them?
It's quite a special location. How did you first come across the site itself?
We used to run round this way from where we used to live and knew what the view was like. And when it came up for sale, we took a walk up and it looked as if it should have had a house on it.
They commissioned Anne Nisbet, who designed the house like a farmyard, a cluster of buildings arranged around a three-sided courtyard.
As you can see, it's quite windy on the site, and we try to use the clusters to deal with some of the weather and climate issues on site to create these outdoor spaces.
When it's very blustery, the barn doors on the entrance can be closed to make a windbreak. The form of the house is inspired by local farm buildings, and when Anne discovered a farm called New House on an old Ordnance Survey map, it helped her secure planning permission on this sensitive site.
The process for getting consent is not straightforward, and in this particular case, what was clearly evident was the depth of research that had gone on to really understand the sense of place and develop a design from that.
The RIBA judges liked the way Anne took inspiration from local agricultural buildings and farms, designing a contemporary home to fit Mike and Sally's specific needs.
So it was really important to them, as they've got a big family, they've got 4 children and 4 grandchildren. So they wanted to make sure that they could accommodate all of the family, but that it still felt intimate enough for them to live here, just the 2 of them.
It looks like an incredibly social space. You
Yes.
can be cooking there, washing, people sat here, everybody enjoying the space together as a family.
Oh, it's excellent, and granddaughters can sit up on the stool and watch what you're doing.
This house takes account of every generation, and it's designed to look after Mike and Sally well into the future.
This whole space is eminently usable, no matter what the future holds in states of health and mobility.
So this was very much about designing a house that was specifically for your needs going through into the future.
Yeah.
This building treads a delicate line, asserting its presence in the landscape, but doing so with quietness and understatement. It is beguiling.
I can well remember when this room was still empty, I stood at the far end, looked back towards the kitchen, and I thought, we've nailed it. We've nailed it.
Mike and Sally have placed their absolute faith in Anne, who has designed and delivered a building which doesn't just provide for their needs, but it generously gives back to its landscape.
So that completes our tour of the UK's best new rural homes. The RIBA judging panel have looked hard at the buildings on the long list and have picked their favourites.
All the rural homes on the long list are intelligent and beautiful, and they all challenge and reinvent the idea of what it is to live in the country. But which of these 4 have made it onto the shortlist?
The gravity-defying concrete box that is the Quest on the Isle of Purbeck. Dorset's fantastically playful Woodsman's treehouse. Cobb Corner, a handcrafted home carved from a ruined cattle shed. Or the Scottish zinc farmstead, New House of Oaken Green. After much deliberation, the chair of the RIBA jury, Deborah Saunt, has the verdict.
So, Deborah, you've shortlisted at least one house from this rural category, because we've got a model in front of us. What is it? Tell me about it.
We have. We shortlisted the Quest. It was technically extraordinary. Having this enormous cantilever over an area where you park your car and come upstairs, so brave and ambitious. Those slabs of concrete span effortlessly, and they're supported on the most extraordinary sequence of high-strength concrete columns. I thought they were steel when I looked before. So I found it a very rewarding house to actually visit in person. It was very, very comfortable. For these brave clients, it did everything that they wanted.
That's fantastic news. Well, thank you.
Wow,
that's fantastic. Oh, congratulations, and thanks for being such lovely, fantastic clients.
It's very nice that Magnus can get some recognition for the house he's built for us.
Well chuffed. Absolutely over the moon.
So, Deborah, you've got another shortlisted project from this category.
We have. We actually shortlisted a new house. This really was, and as is presented by the model, a rural gem.
I mean, middle of nowhere.
This was super rural, and a very young architect, Anne Nisbet, she's looked at the way that buildings are built in that area, and she discovered these sort of farm typologies, and she's mimicked it, but in a completely 21st century way. It's just a fantastic one to visit.
Ah,
Fantastic.
you're kidding.
I'm very glad for Anne, and we're very proud to be owners of this house.
There's some fantastic buildings in the shortlist, so we're just really pleased to be part of that shortlist as well.
So these two go forward to join Watery Nest Point and 6 Wood Lane on the shortlist, along with Shorm House and Caring Wood.
At a time when our rural land is under pressure and also blighted by poor developments, it's more important than ever to build sensitively and beautifully in our countryside. More important than ever to innovate and to question how we can build better and more appropriately for this century in our landscape. Now, all great architecture enhances its setting and enriches our understanding of place. All great architecture connects people to place and to each other. So we need more of it.
Next time, our final category, minimal pared-back homes.
Wow, it's like walking into a museum.
Before we discover who the winner is of House of the Year 2017.
It's going to be a tricky process, I think. It's going to be a long evening.
I've got a clear favourite, yeah.